Jai. Jai.
We're going to read from Canto 7, chapter 9, verse 12. 7, 9, 12. 7, 9, 12. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tasmadaham vivata viklava ishvarasya. Sarvatmanam abhirinami yathamanisham. Abhirinami yathamanisham. Nicho jaya guna visargamanu pravishta. Nicho jaya guna visargamanu pravishta. Uyeta ye kumanu vani kumena. Uyeta ye kumanu vani Tasmadaham vivata viklava ishvarasya. Sarvatmanam abhirinami yathamanisham. Nito jaya guna visargamanu pravishta. Uyeta yena kumanu vanitena. What are you going to try? Tasmadaham
सर्वात्मना महीगुणानि यथा मनीषम् नीचो जया गुण विसर्गमनुप्रविष्टा उवेत एन हि पुमाननुवर्णितेन
Translation and purport by the Divine Grace, Basic Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Madana-gopāla ki.
Jai.
This is Prahlada Maharaj speaking. Although I was born in a demoniac family, I may, without a doubt, offer prayers to the Lord with full endeavor as far as my intelligence allows. Anyone who has been forced by ignorance to enter the material world may be purified of material life if he offers prayers to the Lord and hears the Lord's words. Purport. It is clearly understood that a devotee does not need to be born in a very high family, to be rich, to be aristocratic, or to be very beautiful. None of these qualities will engage one in devotional service. With devotion, one should feel, God is great and I am very small. Therefore, my duty is to offer my prayers to the Lord. Only on this basis can one understand and render service to the Lord. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 1855, Bhaktya mam parijanati yavan yashashmi tattvatah tado mam tattvatah vishate tadanantaram. One can understand the Supreme Personality as He is only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Thus Prahlada Maharaj decided to offer his best prayers to the Lord without consideration of his material position. Darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master would kindly open my darkened eyes with torchlight of transcendental knowledge and offer him my humble obeisances unto his lotus feet. It is very nice to be here again in Mombasa, one of the most beautiful temples in the world. I was mentioning that last year when I came. It's quite stunning to look around. And those devotees who are fortunate to be serving here at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Rukmini Dwarkadish, Sri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Sri Gauranitai, Srila Prabhupada, are truly very fortunate. And extremely fortunate are those who are about to take birth. Those who are about to take birth in this family. Mataji is very fortunate to be bringing fortunate soul into this environment. I picked this verse because Prahlada Maharaj's good fortune is similar. Even before he was born, he heard so much Krishna conscious things. And so, certainly your whole family has been showered by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that you're engaging so nicely in the service and the inspiration you can see. Of course, this child is born in a very pious family. Doesn't matter pious, what matter. But Prahlada is saying, doesn't matter what family you're born in. Doesn't matter what color the skin is. He says, I can offer my prayers to the Lord because he is taught by his Guru. Offer prayers to the Lord. His prayers are the best. And he's saying also, anyone who has been forced by the material nature, mode of ignorance, they can be purified completely of material life. The Prahlada says, I am low-born, but still I will glorify you with full effort. Actually, any one of us who was born in the material world, in one sense, is not a very high birth, because it's a material world. It's a prison house. Even in the prison, what's the point of being proud about low birth, high birth? It's like being proud about, I'm born in a nice, air-conditioned unit in the prison. And yours is no air-conditioned, so but you're in the prison. It's nothing to be proud about. But Prahlada Maharaj is very beautifully, this verse is incredibly powerful. In fact, if you look at these prayers up here, different prayers in Bhagavatam that are printed in verses over here, there are multiple ones. In fact, the vast majority of them, if you count multiple ones, which is the one number one highest frequency, is Prahlada Maharaj's prayers. You see, 1, 2, 3, so many. Very special. What does this verse do? This verse shatters the myth that external qualification it shatters the myth that external qualifications, external circumstances, external configurations determine one's spiritual worth. Nobody can tell you you are less qualified to be a devotee of the Lord because of the way you are externally. Prahlada Maharaj teaches the right to glorify Krishna is not based on birth, or culture, or appearance, or language. Devotees' purity comes from surrender, not social labels. And this brings us to the crucial question. If Krishna sees beyond externals, Krishna sees us all as his children, how should we see his devotees? If Prahlada refuses to judge himself by externals, why do we judge others by them? So I'm going to now turn to one of the most important texts written by our acharyas, by Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, called the Nectar of Instruction. Upadeshamrita, verse number 6. That verse teaches us that these devotees, they may look unqualified to you, but honor them as devotees. This one verse cleanses our self-perception, this one verse of Prahlada Maharaj. And the other cleanses our perception of others. You know, we have our self-perception, how we see ourselves, and then how we see others. And this both are very, very important for us to get clarity, to be aligned, so that we can pray to Krishna properly. That verse I very much encourage devotees to dive into. Last week in Eldoret, we were discussing this important topic where Rupa Goswami gave us guidance on how to navigate relationships in bhakti. He taught us how to relate with devotees differently. Yes, differences. Based on what though? Based on spiritual maturity, nothing else. That's very important. We have to differentiate between devotees based on spiritual maturity. You love the Uttamadhikari, you make friends with the Madhyamadhikari, you offer respectful distance with the Kanishadhikari, and avoid the envious non-devotees. So he's telling us we must follow these distinctions. He's telling us to discriminate. Learn. Don't say, well, I'm going to judge. Use it, otherwise you'll make mistakes in interacting with them the proper way. So he's telling us do it. That was about discerning behavior, evaluating someone's practice in devotional service so we can associate with them wisely and protect our own bhakti. That kind of discernment is healthy. It is scriptural and necessary. But now in this verse number 6, Rupa Goswami tells us the other side of the coin. Yes, okay, you think you should be discerning and discriminating? I'm giving you a warning. Don't apply the concept of discrimination on the wrong platform. So now the very next verse you see how beautifully he did our mental instruction. You must judge and discern, but not based on the wrong things. Don't mistake a devotee's bodily limitations. Say someone is disabled. He misses that. Or someone's external background. They come from a different religion, different nationality, different culture, different language. Or even apparent flaws. Don't mistake any of those for assessing their spiritual standing. In other words, discriminate, but spiritually, not materially. In verse number 5, we are told to see the behavior, and respond accordingly. In verse number 6, we are told not to see with bodily vision and fall into the trap of judging devotee's essence by superficial appearances. So this verse number 6 of mental instruction is a heart level correction. For those of us who might catch ourselves thinking like this, oh, he's too new to be advanced. Oh, she doesn't dress like a devotee. How can he give a class with that background? These things are not important. These are things we judge. We do. Even as devotees, even as long-time devotees. Look how he's dressing. That's not the way you wear a dhoti. You can't be a proper devotee. You wear a dhoti like me. The Rupa Goswami gives a powerful analogy. Just as the Ganges remains pure, even when it's filled with bubbles and foam and mud, a pure devotee remains transcendental despite external imperfections. How many of us are perfect in every way? Impossible. There's no such thing. What does it mean to be a pakka devotee? It's all in our mind. Even the clothes we wear, the uniform has changed. You know what we wear here today in ISKCON? It's not what they wore in the time of Bhagavatam. Today ISKCON brahmacharis wear saffron color and cloth. That was Prabhupada's system. In the Bhagavatam, brahmacharis wear, you know what? Deer skin and a belt made of straw. These things change in time. That's not the point. We can't judge perfection based on external things. Yes, we follow the standards that Prabhupada established. We should. But we don't judge a devotee's work based on these things. Look at the behavior, the clarity, the purity of heart. That's what matters. We have to see with Shastra Chakshu. So in that verse, by verse number 6, I encourage you to all read it when you get a chance. This verse has a very beautiful word called Gangam Dasam, like Ganges water. Just think for a second. Just pause and meditate on Mother Ganga, one of the most sacred, iconic, spiritual, potent images in all of Vedic culture. Mother Ganga flowing down the mountain in the Himalayas. It flows. She flows from the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, descending through the beautiful matted locks of Lord Shiva. Just think about it. He's up there in Mount Kailash. So beautiful. And finally gracing this earth, Mother Earth, and she's accepting this water for the upliftment of all humanity. But Ganga is not an ordinary river. Even modern scientists, they're studying how the Ganga always remains pure. Other rivers don't have that kind of fortune. She is divine, she is liberating, and eternally pure. The Padma Puran says, one who bathes even once in the Ganga attains liberation. The Ganga destroys sins accumulated in many lifetimes. Even though so many sinful people bathe in her waters, her purity is not diminished, doesn't become impure. Now, sometimes in the monsoon season when it's very rainy, what happens? There's a lot of foam, a lot of bubbles, a lot of mud that gets, pushed into the water. But the devotees still go into the muddy water and take a bath. Why? Because they know these superficial disturbances, external color, does not diminish her purity even a little bit. That's why this analogy is given by Rupa Goswami. Similarly, a pure devotee may have defects, but these do not touch his spiritual purity. The analogy is very strong, very powerful. So devotee may be born in low caste, devotee may have some kind of disease or deformity, devotee may have some past karma manifest in the body and mind, but for a surrendered soul, their heart is pure and they are fully dedicated and surrendered to Krishna. That's important. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says this: whether the devotees come from a family of previous acharyas or from an ordinary family, they should be treated equally. One should not think, oh, here's an American Goswami and discriminate against him. This is Prabhupada's purport. But back then, Prabhupada has so many American and African and different varieties of direct disciples, and he'd take them all over the world, especially to India, and Indians would find some of them would be like, how are you making these people Brahmanas? Prabhupada was addressing those criticisms in his purport directly. Let us take an example of how devotees can come from surprisingly unexpected backgrounds. There was a personality in the Bhagavatam known as Vritrasura. Vritrasura was a huge, gigantic demon with very scary features. Monstrous, fierce, terrifying. And yet, when he was confronted in battle by Indradev, an astonishing truth came out. As they fought, while they were fighting, Vritrasura began to speak words of the highest transcendental realization. He declared his full surrender to the Supreme Lord, which Indra, by the way, is not so good at. And he expressed an intense longing to return back home to Radha. Can you imagine in the middle of the battle? You have the power to win, and you tell the other guy, this is how you can kill me. I really want to go back to Radha. And this is a demon whose face looks like there's no way he can be devotee. You see? He said he didn't desire wealth. He didn't desire followers. He didn't even desire liberation as such. He just wants to serve the Lord, birth after birth. For him, that means going back to God. He just wants to serve the Lord. And so those who are here in Mombasa in this temple, they're already back to God. It is serving the Lord. Every moment you spend in serving the Lord, you are back to God. This is Godhead. This is the Vaikuntha. This is Goloka. This is Dwarka. This is the spiritual world. And he says, just as a child yearns, longs for its mother, the soul is longing for the Lord. So Vritrasura's story breaks a powerful stereotype of a devotee. One might expect a pure devotee wear saintly clothes, have a gentle demeanor, live in a holy place. But here's a fearsome demon, but his words reflect it. So, devotions are determined by caste, appearance, social role, even species. Anybody know non-human species devotees? Anybody can say? Garuda, anyone else? Gajendra? I'll give you a clue, we have one on the altar. Hanuman! Right. Hanuman ji.
Jai.
Gajendra, Garuda, Hanuman, Jatayu, so many, Jambavan, right? The entire army of monkeys that float around. And why discriminating even among humans? We bow down to Hanuman, and then we discriminate, oh, you're not born in Brahman family, you are less of a devotee. This is Vidrasura. See, Bhagavatam's job is to destroy these stereotypes. Even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's one devotee, I tell in Chaitanya Charitamrita, a very nice story. We hear of this divine personality by the name of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. As in Chaitanya Lila. So Mukunda Datta, he brought Gadadhar Pandit to meet Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And he saw, Gadadhar Pandit thought it would be like a very simple, poor devotee. But he saw this man reclining on a luxurious bed made of silks, surrounded by scented oils, so much luxury. The pillows are made with silk and fine clothing. And Gadadhar doubted, how is this great Vaishnava? Is this great Vaishnava he spoke of? But as soon as Mukunda recited one verse from the Bhagavatam glorifying Bhakti, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he exploded in ecstasy, started rolling on the floor, weeping and calling out to Krishna. Now Pundarik Vidyanidhi is none other than the father of Srimati Radharani in the Krishna Lila, Krishna Mahatma. Mahaprabhu himself honored him as Premanidhi, reservoir of divine love. So what's the lesson here? Even outward, so just because someone is living in luxury, just because someone has wealth, doesn't mean they're disqualified from pure devotional service. Some people think like that, oh, if you're rich, you can't be pure devotee. For example, never measure devotion by external renunciation or simplicity. That's nothing. Sometimes I can be proud of my simplicity and my renunciation. These things don't matter. You understand the point? Our scriptures tell us to come out of this mindset of judging based on external circumstances, fortune, good fortune, bad fortune. These are not important at all. You're all in a prison. If one prisoner has 2 more soap bars than you, and you think, oh, it's nothing great by having 2 more soap bars, you're still in the prison. Focus on Krishna. Appreciate each other's Krishna consciousness. Encourage each other's Krishna consciousness. That's what Prahlada Maharaj is teaching us. Another stereotype in Chaitanya Lila. He was a Muslim by birth. He was not accepted by any of the orthodox caste Hindus. But he was personally chosen by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Acharya of the holy name. He chanted 300,000 names of Krishna daily. He was beaten in 22 marketplaces, but he never gave up chanting. Now Acharya Haridas Thakur ki Mahaprabhu said, even if he is born in low family, anyone who chants the name purely is to be considered the topmost devotee. So what's the lesson here? Caste and religion are not disqualifications for bhakti. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami both They were rejected by the Hindu society. Why? Because they took employment in the Muslim government. They were branded as Yavanas. Yavana means the foreigners. Even though they're born here and everything. No, you become foreigner by touch. By working for foreigners, you are not foreigner. We don't count you as a Hindu. And yet they became the founding acharyas of the Gaudiya Sampradaya under the guidance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He personally embraced them. The Lord personally embraced both of them and gave them the mission of writing Bhakti Shastras that we are still studying today. He gave them the mission of re-establishing Vrindavan. So even quote-unquote fallen people can become world-transforming devotional authorities by the mercy of the Lord through their surrender. So the question to ask is, what does Krishna see? He was seeing. What does he see? Does he see our skin color? No. Does he see our clothes? No. Does he see our caste, language? No. He sees the heart. He sees the gratitude. He sees our motivation and our devotion. Let us learn to see as he sees. Always. That will take us from Kanishta upward. If we see from our conditioned point of view, we will remain Kanishtas. And people will offer respect from a distance. That's okay, but we want to get closer to people too, right? If we see people are keeping a distance, either I'm not treating people nicely or I'm not showering properly. We should shower so that people can stand being near us. Similarly, we should treat people nicely so that people want to come closer to us. We're representing Krishna. Be nice to people. Be nice to each other. Be nice to non-devotees also. What is speak of devotees? Be nice. Be thoughtful. Let's move out of Kanishta. Let us not judge based on externals. We are very fortunate in ISKCON. We have an international organization. We have a mix of so many backgrounds. But our conditioned nature is, even if you go to, say, a religious group that only has one kind of people, let's say you have a temple that only has South Indians from a particular village. Nobody else goes, except those South Indians from a particular village. But they are in, say, US. Even in that temple, there will be discrimination between them. Because what street you live in, people who live in that street, they are different. We always look for differences because they're conditioned to think we are better. How will I contrast myself to somebody else to show I'm better? That is our fallen conditioned nature, which are insecurity. Let's move away from that, come out of this Kanishta circle of thought. Learn to see as he sees, or we'll miss the real jewels hidden in plain sight. Prahlada Maharaj, human family. I don't want him, human family. We make arbitrary rules. Such people cannot come. They are not qualified to be Krishna conscious. No. All souls are dear to the Lord. So what does the Lord look for? He looks for our heart, our gratitude, our motivation, and our devotion. This is very important. Now that we know this, we still need work. We have work to do. We have to work on our heart. We have to work on our gratitude. We have to work on our motivation and our devotion. That's our work. We have to polish big time. Learn to cry for Krishna. If you cannot cry for Krishna, then be sad about crying. Be sad about the inability to cry and cry about that. And Lord, I cannot cry about this. And you cry about it. Move the heart. That heart-moving tears is very purifying for the soul. You'll feel the purification like you took a shower. Isn't it? Everybody has had the experience. You feel refreshed. Prabhupada said this crying is a great, materials don't understand, it's a great transcendental pleasure. So, please read the nectar of instruction, all of them. For ourselves, don't overvalue the external image. Focus on cultivating humility and bhakti. Never allow jealousy of another devotee's service Another devotee is like a mission to grow in the heart. And toward others, don't criticize the devotees for their past, for their nationality, their appearance, or for their background. If they're sincerely serving, honor them. That's what matters. Now, do not fall into the trap of fault finding under the disguise of discernment, thinking you are protected by something. No. At the same time, the other extreme is don't be so sentimental you cannot see red flags of things to avoid. Don't justify real misbehavior. Those are both extremes. We are told to avoid both of them. So verse 5 and verse 6, you combine them together and you are saved from the two extremes and you're using the middle path of proper discernment without wrong discrimination. Okay. So keep this in mind. Bhakti makes a person beautiful, even if the world sees only blemishes. So let us meditate on this verse. Let us meditate on the teaching of Prahlada Maharaj. Let us count our good fortune. So many things the Lord has given us. So much wealth that Prabhupada has given us in the form of his books and his teaching and personal example. So please let's dive into it every day as you're doing. Let's embrace it with all our heart. And when we chant, let's chant with the full force of our pure emotions and offer every mantra to the Lord's feet of the Lord. And Lord, this is for you. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for listening, for your kind attention. Thank you for the valuable time. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions or comments, please.
You mentioned that there are two extremes that you have to avoid. The one extreme is that you don't look at the external of a devotee and make judgments on the bodily level. And at the same time, don't become a sentimentalist and think that everyone is at a very higher level as you are. My question is, then how are you supposed to know? How are you supposed to actually discern the middle path? Because you don't understand from the actions a devotee does. And we know so many examples that it's very difficult to judge a devotee based on their actions alone. Because we cannot see what the underlying intention or the underlying thought process is of another person. So how do you kind of balance, do this balancing act?
So the question I'm repeating, how do you know? Because it's very difficult to judge someone based on their actions. How do you know how to interact with them? That's a fact. Just by looking at one or two actions, you cannot know. You cannot. But what are we taught? In answer the question directly in the verse. He says in Nectar of Instruction, if you open Nectar of Instruction, verse number 5, you can look it up. Perhaps probably if you can look it up, I can also look it up here. Verse number 5, Nectar of Instruction. So in that verse, it goes like this. Krishna diyase gritam manasakhriyeta iksha chetna udgircha gadantamisham. And that's how the verse goes. I'm just going to go right into it. Rupa Goswami is basically saying there are three categories. We talked this long on the three categories. And he's saying, learn to discern between the two. He's telling us. And I'm going to now teach you how to do it. So we can't say, no, Goswami, you only do it, I will do it. Who am I? I'm not qualified. You see? He's saying, no, you're not qualified. It's very basic. Maybe you have one or two actions you cannot tell, but if somebody is consistently following some of these patterns, then you should know to keep your distance. He's saying, why? Protect yourself. Because if we hang out very long and very close with devotees who have very bad habits, we will pick up on those habits thinking we are becoming devotees. Isn't it true? I mean, you know we're is spectacle. Someone is constantly being unfair to other devotees, being harsh in their speech, consistent, unfair, harsh, discriminating based on the wrong things, or we know this is wrong. You know, devotees are constantly doing very obviously wrong things. You cannot say that is Uttama. We have to follow the system. Keep your distance, isn't it? And we do. You naturally keep your distance because I don't want this problem. You respect that. You love for business is no problem because that's what he says. Even those who love for businesses, he says it. Never disrespect them. But they are at the beginning stage. And some people remain in the beginning stage the whole life. Doesn't mean they've been doing 50 years so they're not beginning stage. No. I can remain at the beginner for 50 years. Time is not the factor. The factor is has there been improvement? Madhyama is given the same qualifications. They are progressive. They know how to treat each other very nicely. But because they are making progress, they are still students. You know, when you're in class, you want to be a good student, you choose who are the SWATs you want to be friends with. Those who don't know the word SWAT. SWAT means those who study very intensely and they really work hard. If you want to be a good student, of course you follow the teacher nicely, but you want to be friends with those who are very ahead. Why do you make friends with those ones and you avoid the backbenchers who are just speaking things in the teaching? Even they really discriminate because we want those qualities to rub off on us. We want to be influenced. No? They are also students, we are students, but we want to be in that group. That is Madhyama. We are students. And then the teacher who knows very well everything, the teacher is the one who is giving advice, the teacher is perfectly behaved, that is Uttama. So imagine the classroom analogy. Kanishta are the ones who keep failing, and they keep making spitballs and throwing at people in the class. Those are Kanishta. Madhyama are the serious students, and the Uttama are the very good teachers. So good teachers, you learn from them, you serve them. Madhyama is different with us, you make progress. Eventually, because of Madhyamas, they have a good chance very quickly to become Uttamas. Kanishtas, wherever possible, we give them some mercy, but most likely we don't take mercy. You know, we give advice to those who don't want to study, it's wasted effort. You just speak on me only. So, if you do that in ordinary world, this is what Guru was teaching us. It's a very basic criteria of how to identify them. You can't hide behind the laziness of saying, who am I to judge? Or how can I judge just by saying one or two actions? No. You understand? He's telling us, I'm giving you clear directions. Follow them. This is why Prabhupada also gave this and he gives extensive purport to help us understand this framework. Otherwise what happens? We'll end up disrespecting those who deserve respect and we end up over-respecting and over-associating with those who have a bad influence on us. Understand? You don't want to be serving those who are spitballing. I want to be like, no. You don't disrespect the teachers. Is it the order of the It's simple. The very fine word selection is discrimination for us to use. That's what we discuss this. They're not easy to discuss. And that's a very good question. Your question is glorious because we really have to think about the two extremes. And it's very hard. Every case is different. You have to really think it through and pray for guidance that you're applying the right discrimination. Because whether you like it or not, you will discriminate. If you take a plate from the line of prasadam and you have 5 different tables and you make a choice which table you sit on, you discriminate. Using some criteria to discriminate. Maybe good or better than that. We always make a choice. We will hang up even for 5 minutes. But ask yourself, why did I choose that? Was it a good motivation? Or was it maybe completely random? Sometimes it's random, let's say it anyway, that's okay. But my point is, everything you do in life is discerning. Apply the right criteria for discernment. That's all I'm saying. Yeah? Thank you, Guru. Great question. Shambhu Babu, I think we have time for one more question. This time is sort of
according to his intelligence, like he's saying the prayer. So if someone doesn't have enough intelligence or he doesn't speak properly, right? If he whatever the way he is like saying, whatever he is saying directly, will that be acceptable?
So the question is, Prahlada Maharaj has speaking, he said, according to my intelligence, I'm offering this. But if others don't have much intelligence, but they offer some sincere, humble prayer, is it acceptable? Of course. They can't even speak properly. They can't even say Hare, or even just mental prayers. Is it acceptable? Certainly. Actually, that's our case also. All of us in the condition, those of us in condition like myself, were conditioned. We don't know how to think properly. So the scriptures, like we don't have intelligence, but the scriptures we can borrow intelligence. I borrowed it. So if I borrowed it, it's okay because it's the right thing. You offer it to Krishna, and then you come to Krishna to the prayer. Krishna is the prayer. I didn't compose it. This is from Bhagavatam. He says, "My Lord, I borrowed it," and then you offer that to Krishna, and Krishna will take it because this love is pure. It's okay. We are very fortunate. We don't have to invent prayers. But you're right. Even doesn't matter. Even the bird is singing for Krishna. Krishna understands all the languages. This bird is going to imitate the Lord singing. So nice. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Lord Prabhupada Prabhu ki
Jai.
So, just a few announcements. We'll be serving prasad at the restaurant now, 8:30.